Past the hour of 8 o'clock. It is the 11th day of September 2023. And I say good morning to Tega Onojiafe as she sashes into the locker room this morning with lots of gist. Tega.
Good morning. How was your weekend? First of all, hope your weekend was great. Now, um, the leagues, the national leagues were off, so you may not have been able to support your team. But did you support the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Did you see what they did in New York? We are going to talk about the Super Eagles and the match that happened at the Uyo Stadium. We'll also branch a little bit, by Spain because Rubiales has an update for us. Also, we'll touch down on what happened with the Dutch and the Italian national teams. Maybe talk a little bit about the English Federation. But yes, a lot of gist coming up. First of all, before we do that, tell us, Omashe, how can we be a part of the locker room today? Because I want input.
Just once on a Monday. So it's 0809-444-0981. That will be for WhatsApp messages only. And Taya is on the fringes waiting. You will get enough. I can assure you that. Then, of course, you can be sure to go to, just follow us on all the social media platform on X. You can go search for us at Smooth981FM. On YouTube, you can find us on youtube.com/Smooth981FM Lagos. Tega, that said, shall we dig into these stories?
Yes, let's go straight to the headlines and then we'll start breaking down each story.
Osimhen passed Nigeria to victory as Djokovic wins US Opens for record equaling 24th Grand Slam, as Luis Rubiales resigns as president of Spanish FA over Jenny Hermoso's kiss. That's what I want to say. Hansi Flick sacked by Germany as Euro 2024 hosts lose patience. That's what's there. And Anthony to delay Manchester United return after assault allegations as Adam Ider left, gave the Republic a dream. Start with a 4th-minute penalty, but the Dutch hit back. Then injured Politano and Mancini out of Italy's clash with Ukraine, as Van Dijk says, ban and find hard lesson to learn. Those are the stories inside the locker room this morning. Tega.
All right, we start with what happened in the Godzilla Pabio Stadium yesterday.
Nigeria ended their 2023 African Cup of Nations qualifying campaign on an emphatic note as Victor Osimhen netted an impressive hat-trick in a 6-0 win over Sao Tome and Principe at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium on Sunday night.
Well, this was to be expected. I mean, think about the last time it was 10. So I think by the time the match was about to start, I think everybody at the stadium would have been saying, "Oh, this is goals galore. Let's just enjoy the goals that are going to be scored." But it was not the fastest start. There were opportunities here and there. I think the pairing, the same with Taiwo Awoniyi and Victor Osimhen up front, it's not the pairing that you most likely see because one kind of usually replaces the other. But I mean, this was a match that I felt like the Super Eagles already knew their fate. They have already qualified. They're playing against Ultimate and Principal there, but it's going to have fun on the pitch. So I think what it is again, what yesterday's match I think reiterated to most people that didn't really think about the list or didn't really look at the team is how top heavy the Super Eagles are. The forward players for the Super Eagles are bound in dozens. But that midfield, still light. You still can't say, oh, this midfielder was outstanding or that midfielder played brilliantly. So I think that's the thing that the next, that the Super Eagles coach should be looking at next, that midfield. Because if you think about forward players, Nigeria has them are plenty. So brilliant goal scored yesterday. Ended up winning the match by 6-0. Doesn't really do much for our position at the top of the table because we're already top of the table and we're already leading in goal difference and all of that. So it just adds to it, makes it even more flattering. But yesterday, yes, was a feel-good game. And I really did want to see the new boys, especially because of the fact that we had qualified. But the coach started with his usual suspects. I think he just wanted to win the match and win it extraordinarily. So he
Yes.
started with his usual suspects and made a few changes here and there. But yeah, Nigerian Super Eagles is very top heavy. We need to find midfielders.
So once again, what is out there, we're just waiting for when Jose Pesero would put out the notice, midfielders wanted, apply within. That's what you're saying in essence right now.
If he can go from one stadium to the other, that would be perfect. He doesn't need to do a tryout.
Okay, would this be a good time for us to just segue into Djokovic wins the US Open for a record equaling 24th Grand Slam? Novak Djokovic defeated Daniil Medvedev in straight sets on Sunday to win his 4th US Open and record equaling 24th Grand Slam singles title, avenging his loss to the Russian in the final 2 years ago. The
All right, so
36-year-old.
this was huge. And that's the thing now. Novak Djokovic is just amassing the numbers. I think so far the only person that can really live with him at his level or challenge him is Carlos Alcaraz. But Carlos Alcaraz is also a young, exuberant, enthusiastic boy. So the games he will play, especially like the semifinal against Daniel Medvedev, he came out and was playing, big shots, showing everybody how athletic he was. And Daniel Medvedev was just playing big points. Daniel Medvedev came out with a great tactic on the day. So even if Carlos Alcaraz had the stamina to go for 2 days, he'd already lost the first 2 sets. And it was a struggle from down there. So I think the only person that really can live with Novak Djokovic at this level would be Carlos Alcaraz. Unfortunately, he didn't make it to the final because Daniel Medvedev, great as a player as he is, he's a little too similar to Novak Djokovic. They like baseline rallies. They like to. They're both strategic. They like to take their time. So yesterday's final was a bit drab. I would say that there were some amazing shots, but it was dragging. It was boring.
Tega, Tega, you are the proponent of do the basic thing and get this job done. That's
No,
what you
I'm
always
not. No. I'm not the proponent of bad behavior. No,
okay, I'm sorry.
Look, there's a reason we all watch sports. We don't
Okay.
watch it because we want to see the scoreline. We watch it because we want to see brilliant performances in between.
Okay.
So I would say this: there were some. Don't get me wrong. There were some amazing shots yesterday. There were some fantastic rallies yesterday, but it was still one of the most boring finals I've seen. But what it turned out to be was that it ended up being, 24 number 24 for Novak Djokovic, which means that he's now extended his lead at the top. I do remember when Pete Sampras had 14 Grand Slam titles, and people were asking if it was going to be possible for anybody to catch up with that. And then Federer caught up with that. And now Nadal and Djokovic caught up with Federer, and Djokovic is now extending it to 24. So amazing one. I don't want to say record equaling because every time somebody mentions Margaret Court, I just want to cringe. A lot of her titles that she won were amateur titles. They were not professional titles.
Okay.
So I don't want to talk about open era. And if we're counting her professional titles, they are not up to 20.
Okay.
So
I see that point.
I've never liked that thing of, if you get it, Margaret Court has the most titles, let's get 24. I'm like, no. Don't count those titles that, that especially she won in Australia where people didn't even know Australia existed. Don't do that.
Tega.
So it's a record for me. It's a record-breaking 24th. I'm not even going to, which is why I always say that if you want to talk about the highest number of titles a woman has won, Serena Williams has won 23. She has the highest. All that Margaret Court is just how would I put it?
Can you do us this? We would love you to scratch the surface of Coco at this point now. Say Coco now.
No need to scratch the surface. I'm going to go into that because that was the exciting final. This was the boring final, but it was a record-breaking final, so we have to talk about it. It was record-breaking. So 24 titles for him there, and like I've always said, Novak Djokovic can go on to win 27 or 28. Some people even said 30, but yeah, he can go on to win that. And those are great numbers, but that's what will keep putting him in conversation. The number of Grand Slams he's won. Because if you look at his tennis, very forgettable night yesterday. But you cannot but mention his numbers. So even if you argue with his methods, you cannot argue with his results. He has 24 Grand Slam titles. End of discussion.
Okay.
But for Daniel Medvedev, not a brilliant performance yesterday, and I couldn't have expected a brilliant performance, especially after the way he played against Carlos Alcaraz. So yeah, really tough one on the men's draw. The men's draw is becoming a little more predictable now. But on the women's draw, that's where all the fireworks happen. That's where all the excitement happened. Now, Coco Gauff, 19-year-old Coco Gauff, stepped up on the court against incoming world number one, Aryna Sabalenka. Now, remember, Aryna Sabalenka won the Australian Open this year. And so to get to another final was another huge one. And she was tough to beat throughout the tournament. Now, she steps up against Coco Gauff, and the very first set, the very first point, she breaks Coco Gauff and goes on to win the very first set. And it didn't look like a good game for Coco Gauff, because Coco Gauff didn't seem to have any reply against Sabalenka's pace of shots. She didn't have any reply against Sabalenka's power. She didn't even seem to have any reply tactically against Sabalenka, because she had to sit very far deep into the baseline to try and hit Sabalenka's shots. But what that meant was that Sabalenka could drop the ball at the net and Coco will not be able to reach it. So Coco Gauff looked really hopeless after the first set. And, even me on Twitter, I was shouting, push her back. I was giving tactical advice. And It was the same thing her team was doing. Her team was giving her so much information. They're like, oh, be more aggressive. Oh, step up into the court. Oh, hit the shots a little deeper. At some point, she was just like, everybody stop. I don't want to hear any information again. She literally said that in the middle of the, at the start of the second set when she was struggling. She was like, everybody stop giving me information. The information is too much. Let me just try to play my game and focus. And so Periba stopped speaking. Brad Gilbert stopped speaking temporarily. Her mother stopped speaking altogether. Coco Gauff now steps up, and in the silence in her head, because nobody was now shouting thoughts into her ears, she was able to weather the storm, and halfway through the second set, she became the dominant player. And from then on out, Aryna Sabalenka couldn't catch her. So, it just shows the growth that this girl is. And I've been saying it, especially since the second half of the tennis season, is the awareness of who she is that is really brilliant to see. Her confidence, her awareness of who she is. Just know who you are and play that. And it's been brilliant to watch that girl coming from a caterpillar to this beautiful butterfly that we are now seeing. So she's won her first Grand Slam, and the only teenager, American teenager to win it since Serena Williams. Serena Williams is just setting, she's a pace setter, so you can't argue much with her about that. But it was brilliant to see her dominate a big player like Aryna Sabalenka and win it. So congratulations to Coco Gauff. That's where all the fireworks were. That's where all the beauty was. And then at the end, she now gave a message to her haters. She was like, oh, for those of you that doubted me, your doubt was my fuel. And I'm like, look, you know what? People are always going to doubt you. And not everybody that doubts you hates you. Should be told. Some people have seen you fail and they're just like, I don't want to see her hurt again. And not everybody that believes in you loves you. Some people that hate you the most believe in you the most. And they are aware of the greatness you can become, which is why they hate you so much and they're trying to make you not to reach it. So sometimes when people step up and speak against doubters, I'm like, we're not here to believe in you. We're just here to be entertained.
Okay.
Do your thing.
we are at the red light right now, so it means we have to just quickly pause for this traffic to flow by. When we come back, we'll go to Spain, where we discover there's a fall to grass as we speak right now, and you will tell us more about it. It is still the Locker Room on Smooth 98.1 FM. Stay tuned.
It's smooth music. Get ready for a summer like never before, because your Polaris Visa card guarantees you an incredible vacation anywhere in the world. Enjoy incredible offers on hotel bookings, restaurants, car rentals, rentals, shopping, including travel insurance, premium airport lounges, and more. All courtesy of Visa. Yeah. Visit PolarisBankLimited.com/Visa today. Get your Visa card from your nearest Polaris Bank.
Stand giving down with you always ask them what your dreams to make life better and it go better after 3 days for no tracker. Go see doctor now. National Healthcare Limited with the market. Ibuka always with you.
Save the date from October 31st, 2023. You can now fly South African Airways from Lagos to Sao Paulo in Brazil. Enjoy the best of flights on South African Airways from Lagos to Sao Paulo through Johannesburg or Cape Town. Visit www.isaa.com to book your flights for
Hello, Tega.
Wednesdays or Fridays, or contact your nearest.
I can hear you.
Okay, you mean this Adams what? What's that? Ida, is that
Which one?
Is this a Nigerian name?
Which one? Which
On
story?
Island Story, I think Adam left Republic, gave the Republic a dream. I want to get that. Adam what?
I can't even see the story.
Republic of Ireland's Euro 2024 qualification hopes all but over.
And then he must be from Republic of Ireland.
And I'm just, he's from not a Nigerian.
He's from Republic of Ireland. If he's from Republic of Ireland, how is he a Nigerian?
It's IDAH. So I want to be sure we are not. So
he probably is of Nigerian descent. There are a lot of people of Nigerian descent, but he's from Republic of Ireland.
Okay, thanks. I need to be
excited.
Okay, thanks.
Pack your bags and get ready for a summer like never before, because your Polaris Visa card guarantees you an incredible vacation anywhere in the world.
Do we have messages?
Yes.
Come back with one or two.
Okay, I think just Tire is here, so we can throw Tire in. Then maybe
just one.
Yes.
Yeah, just come back with that one.
Okay. Limited.com/Visa today. Get your Visa card from your nearest Polaris Bank.
My name is still Bliss. I'm your boss, and you're listening to Smooth Breakfast.
We're back. We're back. We're still Smooth 98.1 FM, and you're right inside the locker room with the princess, Tega Onojiafe. Tega, we're back. So let's get in.
Do we have some messages that we're going to read? I think let's read one message and then we can continue the rest of the story.
You can make it two because there's a couple. I see a couple of messages waiting there for you. But let's go to Tayo's message. On his weekend, he says, my weekend was NBA calling themselves the unmerited world champions, but after facing the world for a major title, they even lost the third place to Canada. No lies is somewhere laughing in vindication. But then it goes to Nigeria. Congrats to Pesero and the Super Eagles making light work of Sao Tome. I just hope that they can find the right form for major tournament, because I don't think we have a solid pool of midfielders, midfield talent, supply the front or even drop ball specialists. If we have too many forwards thinking players than creative, we would be greatly exposed. Congrats to Novak and Coco Golf, now adopted as a Kofo Golf. Everybody likes the winning or success, as many parents and father and mother for winning our first of many majors to come. She giving main character energy in the acceptance speech. Tega, let's not forget Easy. Seeing stars from Strickland is going to need more than Panadol, to overcome the face bomb. And headache.
Ah, that's a lot of messages. Can we just say, yeah, he's
Yes.
talking about Israel Adesanya, who
So,
lost his belt to Strickland in his
yes.
own neck of the woods. All right, in MMA. All right,
That's
so
it.
let's take the next
That
story.
takes us to our next port of call. Spain, Luis Rubiales resigns as president of Spanish FA over Jenny Hermoso's case.
All right, so finally, as you know, a lot of people had been waiting to see what would further come out of Spain, if there'll be more fireworks or explosion. And then yesterday, Rubiales, he released a statement, or he also spoke to Piers Morgan, but he also released a statement that he's resigning from resigning as president of the Spanish Federation, but he's also resigning from his position in UEFA. And the only reason he's doing it is that, you know, all this drama hasn't put Spanish football in great light, and he's doing it so that Spanish football, people can focus on the positives of Spanish football. And this is what I've been saying since 1942. I don't know how else to say this, because look, everybody makes mistakes. We are all going to make mistakes. What determines how we bounce back is how we deal with it. It's not that you made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Is that is a fallout? How do you handle, or how do you retrace your steps from that? And that's always been it for me. From the moment the kids came out, come and give an unequivocal apology. You know, this was inappropriate behavior by me, and go. Because what were they doing? We're trying to take focus from the World Cup winning team. All he needed to do, unequivocal apology, apologize, and I won't do this again. I'll take some time off. Anything, you know, this case wouldn't have escalated or deteriorated, whichever language is best for this situation as it is right now, to the situation that it is. But you dragged on, you know, your mother went on hunger strike, you said you will not resign, you did this, you did that. At the end of the day, you've now mucked up the water so badly that we don't even know what the real issue is. You know, and he had real enemies in Spain, you know, people that were contending with some of his policies, some people that were angry that they didn't get opportunities on that. Everything came together, you know, at the end of the day. So it's not I mean, this resignation has come in. I think it's, you know, it's a little late, but ultimately it just maybe helps. It will help further resolve the situation better. But those steps he took immediately after the incident was what damaged it. I don't even think. I think if he had just come out to apologize for inappropriate behavior, and just unequivocal apology, at the time, it would have been different. But coming out to try and make excuses for it, make jokes about it, that's what really damaged the situation.
So it will look like the Spanish FA can now sing the storm is over, and really it's over.
The storm is not over, it's just beginning.
Okay. In other news, let's go to Germany now. Let's go to Germany now this morning, Tega. Hansi Flick sacked by Germany as Euro 2024 hosts lose patience. That's the story coming in there.
Right. So remember when I said on Friday that, you know, Germany is hosting, but the people of Germany have lost faith in their national football team, and that they're going to play two friendlies, one against Japan, one against France, and those two friendlies could help boost morale. Hansi Flick started that friendly on Friday and lost by got into that weekend on Friday. Lost their friendly by 4-1 against Japan. So remember at the World Cup, Japan beat them by 2-1. Over the weekend, Japan beat them by 4-1. They had extended their advantage over them. And it was such a horrible display. It was 4-1, but it could have been 8. So if you're looking at the results, you may say, oh, teams lose all the time. But if you watch the match, you will know that it was a horrible performance. And so after the match, Hansi Flick was still saying, I'm still the man for the job. I look forward to coming out of this bad situation and turning around the bend. And the German everyone like, you are who? My friend, get out of here. So he had said that they should believe in him, that he was the man for the job, and he looks around to getting Germany back on track. I mean, he said that in the press conference immediately after the match. Meanwhile, the German FA was typing up his sack letter. This man, they play.
They play.
Bottom line. And so before we knew it, he was fired. And it was long coming. It's not the place the German national team is. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the fault is totally on Hansi Flick's part, because even when you look at the team, the question is, who do you pick and who do you drop? Because sometimes the best executed plans is always down to the person on the forefront of the execution, which is the players. So you can have questions about the players, but everything about the team just doesn't sit right. And so, yes, Hansi Flick was always going to go, which is it's a tough one, but that's what it is right now. So taking over from him is Rudi Völler. He used to be coach of the team in the early 2000s. So he's coming back to temporarily handle the friendly match that they have against France on Tuesday. And then they will get, a long-term replacement. But yes, they figured that if we sack Hansi Flick now, we still have enough time to build up a good team before the Euros in 2024. It was coming. It was a long time coming.
Now we drift away from Hansi Flick and wish him all the best in his next endeavor. Let's get down to Anthony to delay Manchester United return after assault allegations.
All right. So remember that Anthony of Manchester United had his girlfriend step forward and said, she assaulted him. She said that he threw something at her head, and they had to treat that injury. Then she was talking about the one of the glass, and then she also accused Manchester United staff, because she said Manchester United medical staff were the ones that treated one of her wounds. And then she talked about how Anthony shoved her and burst one of her implants, and she had to have a corrective surgery. Yes, there's a lot of drama. He shoved her on the chest, and it caused her implants to burst, which meant that she had to have a corrective surgery. A lot of things. And so, of course, especially coming off the back of Mason Greenwood drama and directly into this one, it seems like there's a lot of domestic abuse that Manchester United was not handling well. And then, so Anthony was supposed to come back to Manchester today from international duty, seeing as he didn't participate with Brazil. Yes. But Manchester United and the player had a further conversation. And, they said, what, just take an extended break and finish up with the allegations. And then you can come back. And that's the best thing, because if he comes on the pitch, Manchester United will have people in the crowd talking about domestic violence. The team will be distracted trying to answer questions about Anthony, and nobody will be the winner. So it's better that he deals with all the legal issues, and then he can come back.
It seemed like they learned from the last mistake where they, like you said, they did not handle on time.
Yes, so you have to it's just the handling of the situation.
Yes.
Just try and make it good. All right.
Now, take us into injured Politano and Mancini out of Italy's clash with
all right, Ukraine. So huge one. Italy failed. They looked like they were going to get all 3 points. I think it was on Saturday. Unfortunately, they ended up drawing 1-1 with North Macedonia. Remember the team North Macedonia, they were the ones that knocked them out, prevented them from going to the World Cup. But Italy stepped up against them and still couldn't win in this qualifier. What that means is that they are third place in their group, and they don't get to be in the automatic qualifying spots. They're in the same group with England. England will automatically qualify. They're 9 points clear of everybody else in the group. But Italy is third in their group, and if they don't win their match on Tuesday, then they don't get to against Ukraine. They don't get that automatic qualifying spot, and they want to do that. So it becomes even tougher that after the injuries to Chiesa, Italy is struggling with players up front that can score goals. They now have these two injuries to key players. So it's going to be a tough one, but yes, Tuesday was always going to be tough. And Spalletti stepped into really a giant shoes when, he stepped into national team coach of Italy at this time with Mancini leaving to go and collect some good Saudi money. So let's see how Italy will be able to survive with this one. They've called in Osolini, so a few new players to come and help them in. But because there is a qualification on the line, it becomes an even more desperate rescue situation.
Tega, can you close up this the locker room as your hands are on the doorknob already? You ready to leave the locker room? But let's mention Van Dijk in passing now quickly.
All right. So Van Dijk was after Van Dijk's red card, his red card was extended for abusive behavior or sportsmanlike behavior towards the referee. So he served the 1-match ban for the red card against Aston Villa, but this weekend he'll serve another match ban against Wolves for it. And he was not saying that he's learned his lesson. Probably next time when he tackles somebody and they give him a card, he will not argue with the referee. He'll just walk on by. No long term.
There is a message. Yeah, on that note, you have a couple of messages here, but this one from Tayo says, this one that Germany FA has sacked Hansi Flick. Poch better start working hard to get results from February 2024. With that said, if Flick wasn't fired after losing horrendously to Japan, then I'll be convinced he's blackmailing them. That's what he had to say. Well, and the other one, he comes up, he said, then Tega, just they play. I just let's go. All right. Mohammed is also here for you this morning. Tega, okay, Mohammed says, Tega, they play. You think that if he had apologized, everything would have been overlooked, then you don't know the cancel culture that is controlled by the woke community. That's what Mohammed had to say on the other issue. Well, Tega, it's a wrap on the show this morning.
All right then. Thank you and have a great week.
All right. Have a great day too, Tega. Bye. And it's a wrap on the locker room this morning. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Good morning.